That is not what we've been discussing. Thank you, Lewis. Andre from Chicago. You keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay, Reverend, is it true that God gave man dominion over this earth? Is that the truth?
That's what we believe, yes.
Okay, so then I think we need to have a massive movement to get our dominion, because he didn't give dominion to a few senators down there who want to block background checks. I think it should be a massive movement to try and institute referendums so that we can take the power out of the lobbyists and take the power away from these crooked politicians.
Well, the way to do that, I agree with you, Andre, and the way to do that is to build a people's movement and elect people that will be accountable to the people. You're exactly right. And if we have dominion, those of us that believe in that, or those that believe in democracy, we ought to go ahead and organize and do that. That is exactly right. You certainly got me agreeing with you on that. Let me try to get everybody in. Margie in Detroit. Up there's the music. Can't go. Thank you, Reverend Walron. Let me thank also my executive producer, Fatih Muhammad, my technical producer, Lee Majors. Most of all, let me thank you for listening in, calling in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Don't forget tonight and every night, Monday through Friday, I'm live on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton on MSNBC, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 o'clock Central Time. And remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody. Reverend Al told you personally. Keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.
The views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of either WGCV 620 AM, its staff or management, or our parent company, Glory Communications Incorporated.
South Carolina, the nation, and the world. We put it all in perspective with Armstrong Williams up next on WGCV 620 AM.
Confusion ever someone or have sudden you trouble had speaking, understanding?
Understanding trouble? Have you sudden have or speaking someone ever confusion?
Have you ever had sudden confusion, trouble speaking, or understanding someone?
It could be one of the 5 signs of stroke.
Sudden weakness or numbness of the face, arm, or leg.
Sudden trouble with vision in one or both eyes.
Suddenly having trouble walking or difficulty with balance.
Or a sudden intense headache that comes out of nowhere.
If you or someone you know has any of these symptoms, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. You could make a difference in someone's life, someone you love, maybe even your own.
It's late until, wait, don't too.
Don't wait until it's too late. Time lost is brain lost.
Find out more at powertoendstroke.org. Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Make good nutrition and physical activity part of your family's daily lifestyle. Be our guest to healthy living and visit letsmove.gov to learn more. Brought to you by Let's Move, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
This is Al Sharpton. I'm keeping it real on WGCV 620 AM.
Good God! I got to ask you what we need. Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, I like it. Soul food. Henry Soul Food. No, we need it. Soul food. Henry Soul Food. Hit me.
Home of the sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get the Henrys at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry Soul Food. What we need. Soul food. Henry Soul Food.
Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show, brought to you by Golden Crust Bakery, the fastest growing Caribbean-owned franchise in the United States. Golden Crust is committed to the delivery of quality food and excellent customer service. Visit them today at goldencrustbakery.com. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show. Milo Pickney, how are you today?
I am great, Armstrong. How are you today?
I'm not going to say I'm great, but I have the potential to be great.
Every day that you're breathing is and you know, and on your feet is a good day.
Clare Lopez, how are you today? Clare?
Glad to be with you.
Now, Clare, it's going to be an interesting topic today because we're going to sort of talk about this third jihad movie. We're going to also talk about the strategic policy. I mean, she's a strategic policy and intelligence expert with a focus on national defense, Islam, Iran, and counterterrorism issues. You know, it's interesting enough, Clare, today, the second assassin finally declared why he and his brother carried out the terrorist attacks, and they talked about the fact of America's involvement in Afghanistan and other places, which is unusual from other motives as to why terrorists commit these acts. You know, I don't really care about the motives. Anybody, if they're sick and twisted in the head and want to find a reason to devastate and destroy lives, can come up with a motive. But did you follow the questioning and the responses today as it was detailed and revealed by the interrogators?
Yeah, I think you're probably talking about the questioning of the younger Tsarnaev brother, whose name is Dzhokhar. He's in the hospital. I guess he's been upgraded now to fair condition. And the interrogators were going back and forth with him, I guess, writing some way. And they asked him, they asked him, you know, why'd you do this? What'd you do this for? And he was very candid. He answered them right back. We did it for Islam. We did it for Islam. These are Islamic jihadis. They did it for Islam, to follow the doctrine and the commandments of their faith.
Explain what that means. Explain it to our audience.
Well, what that means, unfortunately, is that Islam is not exactly like other faiths many Americans may be familiar with, Christianity or Judaism or another. Islam actually, in its doctrine, in its law, and in its scriptures, commands its faithful to wage jihad or war against those who do not believe in Islam in order to conquer them and subjugate them to Islamic law. This is much different than anything people are familiar with in Christianity, let's say. I mean, this is obviously not the New Testament. This is Islam, though, and that is what the two Tsarnaev brothers were following. They were following the commandments of their faith to be good and pious and devout Muslims.
Milo?
Well, I think there's a couple of things here. One, I think that's one of the core distinctions between Islam and most other religions, most of which have much more peaceful, much more socially appropriate doctrines. But what two things were made very clear here. One, these two brothers acted alone, on their own accord, independent of any organization. So that many who were under the premise that this was in support of the Taliban or of Al Qaeda, that proved not to be the case. Having said that, it is no less critical or threatening to a peaceful people than those organizations. But clearly, these two brothers were off on the belief that they had a religious motivation behind. And they, in their corrupted thinking, thought they were actually doing something constructive, which, in itself is problematic, because there's no defense there's no logical or systematic defense to that.
Do you
Well, I would have a couple of points to make for that. Clearly, what they committed was a heinous act of terrorism that killed 4 innocent people and changed the lives of so many dozens and dozens of others injured. But 2 things here. One, there are indications that they were in contact with a Chechen Salafist jihad organization over in the Caucasus, that isthmus of land that sits between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea in southern Russia. And that is where the ancestral roots of the Tsarnaev family are, in Chechnya. Well, in 2011 and again in 2012, we know that the older brother, now dead, Tamerlane, went over to Dagestan and under surveillance by Dagestani police, NBC in Boston has reported this, under surveillance by Dagestani police, he met with some kind of an Islamic Jihad underground movement militant at a Salafi mosque in the capital of Dagestan, which is called Makhachkala. Not just once, but 6 times they documented him meeting there. Now, the most powerful and influential jihad group in the Caucasus is something called the Caucasus Emirate. It's founded by a Chechen. His name is Doku Umarov. And in a 2007 video, Doku Umarov specifically threatened not just Russia, but says in the video, our enemy is not only Rusnia, he calls it, Rusnia, but also America, Britain, and Israel, and all who are waging a war against Islam and the Muslims. So we have a direct threat from the founder of this organization, this jihadist group, Caucasus Emirate, that is influential as a jihad group in the area. We have the older brother meeting with somebody that the Dagestani police consider to be a terrorist individual affiliated with an Islamic movement. This is not being reported in the news, but NBC Boston had it. Now, the second thing that I would mention really quickly here is that in the United States, where this family, Tsarnaev family, sort of settled in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not far from Boston, they attended a particular mosque. That mosque is called the Islamic Society of Boston, or it's affiliated with the Islamic Society of Boston. That organization is a Muslim Brotherhood organization. It is strongly affiliated with founders such as Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who is the supreme top jurist of the Muslim Brotherhood. So they've got that influence here in the States from the Muslim Brotherhood. They've got the connection with the Chechen terrorist group over in Dagestan. This is not an independent activity. This was not an independent attack. There was a complex organization behind this attack.
So it's obvious this kid is lying. We expect him to lie because, listen, they were living lavishly. They had expensive vehicles. They had lots of money on them, and they were well-financed. I mean, come on. Someone had to be funneling money to them, and we just have to find out and find the money trail.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And especially when you think about the older brother, again, Tamerlane. I mean, by the way, who names their kid Tamerlane? Tamerlane is the name of one of the most heinous, mass-murdering Islamic warlords in all of history. That's his name. But when he went over to Dagestan, or the Caucasus region last year, he spent 6 months, January to June 2012, over there, leaving a wife and a small child behind. What means of support? We look at his photos on the website, on his various websites that he set up, his own pictures, he put them on there. He's got really nice, sporty clothes, he's got expensive shoes, he's driving a Mercedes. He's got no job. Where does this come from?
It's
we're speculating.
No, we're not speculating. You don't have to speculate on those kind of facts. Somebody was
financing
Armstrong,
I don't want to go off on one of these off-the-wall tangents.
You're entitled to your opinion, as I'm entitled
to
mine.
Hear me out, because you haven't heard my opinion.
State your opinion.
All right. We do not have sufficient data yet to be formulating opinions and making indictments based upon 3 years ago I had a meeting with so-and-so who believes X, Y, and Z, and therefore, by default of association, I am on... It may well be the case, but we don't have sufficient data to arrive at those conclusions, and more importantly, we don't have sufficient data to responsibly report those conclusions.
Why don't you talk to him about patterns and common sense, Claire, that help people with common sense to reach those conclusions?
Well, I'll tell you something else that we haven't mentioned yet, and in any detail at least, and that is what was on the websites that these two young men created. Again, let's go to the older brother because he was more active online. Tamerlane created a YouTube channel online, and there he posted a lot of material. He posted videos, in particular, for instance, from an Australian imam giving sermons, giving speeches. That imam's name is Sheikh Faiz Mohammed. He was Australian. He might be in Lebanon now.
Hold there. We're coming back to a break. From the break, Milo Pickney, Clare Lopez. We're talking about the mind of terror. Don't go away. We'll be back at our phone lines open.
Armstrong Williams returns.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Crust's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Crust near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrustBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams. What does it mean to be conservative? Freedom of speech, freedom of free enterprise, freedom of assembly, less government, less taxes. As a matter of fact, a flat tax. Everyone should pay proportional tax. It doesn't matter whether you make $100 million or $10,000. Everyone should pay their 10%. Everyone should have something at stake in this American economy. I'm Armstrong Williams expressing what we mean by conservative traditional value.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
And welcome back to the broadcast with Milo Pickney and Clare Lopez. You were talking about what we could have formulated from visiting their social media, and you went on to say, please continue, Clare.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the older brother again, Tamerlane, created a YouTube channel page, And he posted different videos there, and he posted a bunch of videos from this one sheikh, an imam from Australia named Faiz Mohammed. And some of these sermons by this imam include really bad anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, hatred of Western culture, called for the beheading of the Dutch politician Geert Wilders, says that rape is a woman's own fault. He has posted on that website, "There is nothing more beloved to me than wanting to die as a mujahid." He posted songs there, too, and one of his songs that he posted up there has a line that says, "I will dedicate my life to jihad." This isn't associations. It's not, people that he might have run into last year. This is his own words on his own website, his own choice of music, and people that he respects and whose views he accepts. So I think that's pretty direct.
Milo?
Claire, I hear what you're saying, and please try to actually understand what I'm speaking to here. Throughout history, in every time an event occurs, we have everything from the copycat killers who follow the performance of somebody that in their warped mind is their hero for whatever reason. We have people who act in parallel behavior to organized structures and organized programs, and by default of the similarity of their actions, we establish direct associations, and then we act on them. And all that I am saying in this dialogue is I'm not making a value judgment as to whether or not any of what you have said is correct or incorrect. I'm not making an assessment as to whether or not what the authorities have found, factually found. What I am referring to is all the talking heads on the media, ourselves included, who are arriving at conclusions following logical progressions, what we would roughly call common sense, which in itself I have a problem with since it's almost never common. And we arrive at conclusions based upon sound bites of fact, formulate responses based upon those potentially erroneous conclusions, and then frequently go so far as to act upon those conclusions prior to actually confirming the data on which we've based those conclusions. And all I'm suggesting is that as a standard of performance across the board, we need to slow our rolls, spend more energy collecting accurate data so that we can make truly informed decisions, not ad hoc decisions based upon some yahoo who put a video up. And granted, logic would suggest that he supports these philosophies and values based upon the fact that he put these images up on his website. But that in itself doesn't constitute a known and direct affiliation or association.
I got to tell you, I don't know what's happening to Milo. I'm worried. It's just, I don't know what's happening. I'm just telling you. It's been the last 2 weeks in a row, and I'm just stumped by this.
You know what it is, Armstrong? I'll tell you. I have seen case after case.
I am confused. I'm really confused.
I've seen case after case where we have taken data in the first reports from media outlets, and people have formulated opinions, ourselves included. We're not above it. And then we've later found that, that piece wasn't entirely correct. And yet, meanwhile, we're already on a 2-hour dialogue, chronicling the evils of all these people. Now, are these guys evil? Yeah, they went and attacked people who were doing nothing to them, who were out for a Sunday afternoon run in the park, as it were. That's evil, no question about it. But before we race to conclusions and start formulating, factual assessments that they are associated with this organization or that association with nothing more than a video posted on YouTube.
So
that doesn't seem prudent to me.
Here's what you're saying to me, Claire. I'm gonna get back to you. I got to talk to my brother a minute. Okay, listen. I can understand when the marathon blew up in flames, and Milo says, "Let's not jump to judgment. Let's not jump the broom. We don't know if they're Muslims. We don't know if they're Chetnian. We don't know if they're Americans. Let's just wait and see now. Let's not get out there falsely accusing and painting everybody with the same brush, especially Muslims." I get that, okay? Guess what?
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, wait. I could get that if you were talking a week ago. But let me tell you, there is no doubt in my mind, none, that what Clare is saying resonates with me because I've looked at the website, I've followed the story, I've followed the interrogations, I've talked to people on the inside, and so much they have not released. It is obvious that they were a part of a larger terrorist cell. It is obvious that they had more deadly intentions in mind, which they admitted. Is it any secret, Clare, that they discovered other bombs that had detonated? Is it a secret that they were on their way to New York?
Were they responsible for those other bombs?
Yes, they were. Yes.
Oh, we got that data. Okay.
Yeah, and let me yes, and let me finish. They were hell bent to destroy. Clare, what else is necessary? I'm sorry. What else do we need?
Well, I think we really have to be very serious about the threat that is facing us.
Yes.
This is not a one-off attack.
No.
We're looking at a series of attacks. Some of them, thankfully, were stopped by our security services, by the FBI. Faisal Shahzad in the New York Times Square bomber, the Abdul Muttalib, the so-called underwear bomber who tried to bring down a plane over Detroit a few Christmases ago. This is one in a series of attacks, some of which thankfully did not come to pass. This one unfortunately did. We're just looking again now at an attack that was presented up in Canada.
Quebec, yes.
Today.
Yes.
All right, so Claire, what do we do about it? Instead of chronicling and giving these guys the attention that they don't deserve, what steps can we take?
Thank you. Yes.
Well, number one,
to address
I say
the problem constructively.
Yeah, I say thank you to both of you and everybody else who is sponsoring radio programs like this to get the word out. The number one defense against this kind of attack coming at us is an informed and an involved citizenry. They have to know, first of all, people need to get the information. They need to learn and know what Islam is, what is Islamic Jihad, what do people do who are loyal and pledge their allegiance to Islam. What do they do? What kinds of behavior do they exhibit? Where do these attacks come from?
If I might add to that, because while I appreciate what you're saying, one of the big problems that I see in all of this is profiling. As a black American, I suffered it as a black American. But, I find even myself today, when I get on a plane and I am sitting next to somebody who is visibly what I perceive to be Islamic, I can't help but have it go through my mind. But at the same token, the greater majority of Americans can't tell the difference between an Islamic Muslim and a Sikh, whose philosophies are dramatically different.
That is the purpose of the education. You put your finger on it, exactly. It is right that American citizens become more alert to their surroundings. Let's say not profiling, although critical thinking and discrimination in the positive sense of that word will save lives. If people had discriminated at the Boston Marathon and looked at these young guys who came in with great big bulky backpacks, put them down on the ground and then walked away from them, that could have saved lives. They need to become more alert to those kinds of things in the way, unfortunately, that Israelis have had to become alert to packages and backpacks that might have been left unattended, left behind. That's the kind of alertness that we have to foster. It's not being afraid. It's not living in fear. It's being alert to your surroundings and those around you. And it's also understanding what this doctrine is, what it does to people, what it means, why they are doing this. People will not have to ask the question anymore. Why do they hate us? Why are they doing this? They will know why. They will understand why. They will understand that we are in a civilizational conflict between a belief system, a doctrine, not all Muslim people, by the way, okay?
What do we do
not
about
all the Muslim faithful, but the doctrine and those who follow it, and Western-style civilization, liberal, pluralist, tolerant civilization.
All valid points, but nowhere in your response was a specific action. If you could give me 3 specific actions that Joe T. Public can take tomorrow responsibly to contribute to the enhanced protection of American lives, that's what I'd like to hear.
Let's start
with
number one. Let's start with immigration.
Pardon?
Start with immigration.
Well, you've heard some calls already from congressional members who are saying, let us, halt Muslim immigration for the moment until all the investigations now underway, we know that there are many underway, of potential plots are cleared up, finished, and cleared. Let that be done first.
Claire, let me stop you
Secure
there for a second,
borders.
if I might, because I want Armstrong to hear this so that before he erupts on me, because believe it or not, that is probably the most sensible thing I've heard anybody suggest. And all the bleeding heart liberals on the other side of the aisle are going to scream and yell about what a fascist I am. But if an orangutan was attacking my house, I would stop letting orangutans into my yard. And if we continue to have case after case after case where people of Muslim belief are attacking American and American assets and allies, we need to close the doors to Muslims. And
at
is it
least
unfair
temporarily.
to some? Temporarily, yeah. I'm not saying, it's the same people who were upset when we did the very same thing during World War II with the Japanese and people of Asian descent, because we didn't know who the loyalists were and who weren't. And we locked up everybody.
Hold there, Milo. We're coming back. Claire, we're not going to let you go. You got to stick around.
Okay, I'm here.
Too important of a topic. We'll be back. Our phone lines are open, 1-866-620-6620. We're streaming live. We'll be back.
Armstrong Williams returns in a moment.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sports shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Most Americans simply have never been taught the basics of money management, let alone how to secure their financial future. But there is hope. Financial Education and Literacy Advisors, also known as FELA, does what others don't. FELA teaches financial education. If you'd like more information about providing a financial wellness program for your employees, or a credit-bearing college course in personal finance, or other valuable programs, please visit myfela.com. That's myfela.com, or send an email to info@myfela.com.
Elder Chicks is an exciting part of the fastest growing segment of the population. Women in their 70s, 80s, and older who are mastering the art of a senior life. We're no longer unseen and unheard. We're providing role models for each other and the baby boomers who are fast approaching retirement. Join our virtual community. Hit www.elderchicks.com on your computer keyboard.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the broadcast. I know we have some callers. Clare Lopez and Milo Pickney still with us. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Alan. How y'all doing today?
Fine, and thank you for calling.
All right, haven't talked to you in a while. But want to make a comment on the last statement as far as closing the doors to Muslims. To me, that equates to restricting the purchase of guns, because if you restrict guns, that's not going to stop someone from finding one. So if you close the doors to Muslims, you don't have to send Muslims to come into the country to still do the same thing. I think that this should be another direction. I don't think that solves the problem.
You know, I think part of the purpose of suggesting that by some congressional members is, number one, to clear the books of ongoing investigations that are currently underway by security services like the FBI. But number two would be also to review our immigration policy overall, to review how it is that we select those either to receive political asylum or as refugees or as just simply, granting visas. How do we do that? How do we select those? How do we choose? How do we choose whom to allow in, whom not to? That all needs a big review.
Weren't these two here as under asylum?
They came with their family under political asylum. Exactly what needs to be looked at, precisely.
And I think, Alan, what Clare is touching on and what our congressional leadership is touching on is that there needs to be a period of time where we can take a close examination of who we're looking at, what our policies are, and the facts behind them. And I think that in our effort to be politically correct and socially correct and not to offend anybody, we expose ourselves to unnecessary risk. We have had a consistent pattern of people of Islamic belief waging attacks on American soil, going back to 1993. Most of the attacks that have occurred on American soil have been either directly or indirectly associated with some type of Islamic or jihadist belief or value system. So to ignore that is socially irresponsible, intellectually irresponsible, and from a position as a patriot is patriotically irresponsible.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, thank you for calling. You're on the air.
Hey, good evening, Armstrong and guests.
Yes, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I just want to say, I don't want to take the easy road, which is just to exclude people based on their religious beliefs. What we need to do is do a better job of screening potential applicants or refugees or immigrants coming into this country. We need to do a better job interviewing these people, doing background on their families and where they've been overseas, so we can make better choices of who we allow into this country.
That's all well and good, but you're making a suggestion that this is a religious belief. The Islamic jihadist belief is a political belief. It is a social and cultural ideology. It's not religion. Most every religion is peaceful. Religion doesn't subscribe to killing and murdering.
You're making a mistake, sir. There's no separation of church and state in the Muslim world. The Quran is the church and the state. Every law that they have.
And I'm glad you qualified that as the Muslim world. This is America. And if
you're
coming to America,
that's why I'm saying that we have to do a better job of interviewing these immigrants. When they apply to come into this country, we need to have people at the State Department sit down with these people and do a psychological evaluation on them. Their family backgrounds need to be examined so we know who we're bringing into this country. Every Muslim is not violent, but every Muslim will tell you that the Quran states that certain things have to be dealt with in certain ways. Now, the problem is that just like with our Bible, some people take certain things literally and some people take things figuratively. So we have to separate those people who believe that, everybody who's not a Muslim is an infidel, people who believe that,
ask you a simple question?
Yes.
Are you prepared to bet your child or your wife, your mother, your brother or sister's life on a civil servant's psychological evaluation of a potential immigrant when they have thousands of immigrants to run through their system? Are you prepared to bet your family member's life on that? Simple yes
Sir,
or no question.
Whatever's going to happen to you is going to happen to you, whether it's a Muslim, whether it's a carjacker, whether it's a robber in a liquor store. If something's going to happen to you violently, it's going to happen to you.
So you don't
The point I'm making is that there's a lot more people getting killed in this country every day by fellow Americans for far less serious reasons. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans, women, children, who shoot themselves every day, who are run over every day, who are killed every day by Americans who were born and raised here since the day they were born. So, these bombings that happen, yes, they get a lot of attention, and they should, and that's something that we can control if we do a better job of bringing in immigrants who aren't taking the Quran literally, and even in a polite way. Even these Muslims who say, well, it says that, and I'm supposed to do that, but I'm not. No, see, you got to eliminate those people who have those mindsets have to be separated and taken out of the country. I agree with you on that. But those Muslims who understand that is not the way that we behave in this country, and that there's a set of laws that they have to abide by, those people are just fine. I'm a lot less concerned about them than I'm concerned about some young guy who doesn't have a job, has no means of getting money, putting a gun in my face. That's a lot more likely to happen to me than some Muslim radical out there planning a bomb somewhere.
What do you have to say about this, Clare? You've been observing.
Well,
the discussion.
your caller is making a lot of good points, and it's certainly true that we've got a very violent society. But I would say that it is the job of our national security leadership, our agencies like the FBI, Homeland Security, State Department, front line of defense. Their job is to protect us against those threats coming in from the outside, and I think that's what we're focused on here today. Those runners and those spectators at the Boston Marathon, they never thought that they were going to be a target or subjected to this kind of a heinous terrorist attack. They thought, just like your caller, maybe, that, it was much more likely that they might get, held up in a robbery someplace or have a home break-in or some such thing. They never dreamed they'd be attacked at the Boston Marathon, of all places. And yet that's exactly what happened to them. And the reason it happened is because Islam commands. It is not just the Quran. It is Islamic law that commands all Muslims who are faithful to conduct jihad. Jihad in the books of law, Islamic law, is warfare to spread the religion of Islam. Many Muslims
and that's the point I wanted to make real quick.
Follow that.
Just like in the Bible it says that if you disrespect your parents, your parents are allowed by the Bible, by Jewish law, to kill you.
Well,
but anybody who would do that would go to jail immediately for that crime, because we understand that our society has evolved past that point.
The Jewish faith
I think what we have to also do with these Muslim immigrants that come into this country is maybe yearly or bi-yearly, we need to have somebody sit down with these people, ask them how they're going, how things are they adjusting to American society. We need to kind of guide these people through our society to make sure that they're fitting in. One of the things that came out about the older brother was that he wasn't fitting in. He had a wife and child, but he had no friends. And, he wasn't fitting into our society.
So what are you going to do? You're going to deport him because he doesn't have friends?
Well, that's a red flag. So if somebody has been here for 4 or 5 years, because if somebody's been here 4 or 5 years, and they're from
you're not answering the question. What is the action that you're going to take when you identify that red flag?
Part of being a citizen in this country is making sure that you're adjusting to this country. So if these people have to come in to a State Department office or some sort of government office and sit down and be interviewed by somebody once a year,
and we agree with you. The piece that is missing from your commentary is you can make a suggestion, but if your suggestion doesn't have an actionable item that results in a constructive change, nothing is being accomplished. So my question to you is, now that you've installed this system to evaluate the people who are not fitting in, what do you do? What is the action that you're going to take?
If they're not fitting in, or if the person that's interviewing them is is sensing that this person is not adjusting to our way of life, then that gets reported to law enforcement.
And what's law enforcement does? Does law enforcement
the same way, you know, if an officer suspects somebody and pulls them over, that gets filed into a report.
Okay, so now what happens? We have the ACLU screaming and yelling that we're unfairly scrutinizing these people, and it's a subjective evaluation. You actually have to think through your suggestions.
I'm talking about all immigrants, not just Muslims.
The point is you have to think your suggestion through to its executable capability. And what you're suggesting is not executable.
Hold there.
It's a nice suggestion in an ideal world, but it's not executable.
Caller, thank you. Claire and Milo and I are going to come back. The phone lines are open. This is a hot topic. The movement of terrorists. What can we do? We'll be back.
Say bye-bye burgers, pass on the pizza, forget the francs. Anytime is party time. Discover Golden Cross's authentic Jamaican-style patties. Beef, chicken, vegetables, soya, spinach, and shrimp. Feast on our great taste sensations. Jerk chicken, oxtail, sliced fish, and much more. Savor the taste of the Caribbean. Only at a Golden Cross near you. A family tradition since 1949. GoldenCrossBakery.com.
For more information on the Armstrong Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
You know, one of the things I would like for Claire to do for us, which I think is really the most critical point to this conversation today, is make everyday Americans, like those recently at the Boston Marathon, understand their vital role, because without them, law enforcement, they can have the best agents, the best weapons in the world, but without them, they cannot do their job in a timely manner, in any manner, because if it were not for people sending their videos, sending out tweets, making contact with what they saw firsthand, it would have been a complete failure. And also, the way that U.S. law enforcement were able to turn this around within a week is almost unheard of. It was pretty incredible because I'm pretty sure that these brothers actually thought they were going to get away. They went back home, they relaxed, they were tweeting. They just thought there was no way that they could ever tie them to these bloody crimes, Claire.
Yeah, you're making a real good point there, and I would say for the average listener that's listen to the radio show. I said that the first thing was to be informed. Let me throw out a couple of websites for them. One, centerforsecuritypolicy.org, centerforsecuritypolicy.org, and there you will find links to another website called MuslimBrotherhoodInAmerica.org. Altogether, MuslimBrotherhoodInAmerica.org. Got to get informed, got to get knowledgeable about what this threat is, and those websites will do it for you. One more website that I would put out there is the Clarion Fund's website online. It's called ClarionProject.org. I write there. I have columns there posted regularly. So information, number one. Number two is involvement. And the involvement can take the form of calling into a radio program like this, getting online, into chat rooms, blogging, writing articles yourself, submitting them to newspapers and to online sites. The other important thing for citizens, American citizens, is that you get behind individuals who you think will make good representatives. Get behind them, support them for local office, for state legislature, for the Congress, and let them know that you intend or you expect that they're going to be informed about these issues that mean so much to all of us, and you will hold them accountable for that. So, I mean, those are just a few of the things that I would throw out there.
But address the importance of citizens to law enforcement doing their jobs, what they have to be on the lookout for, keep a watchful eye for.
Well, there's this saying, see something, say something. And that gets back to what I was saying before about how Israeli society has adapted, to the Arab-Palestinian terrorism that has taken so many lives over there. And it's a way of being alert, watching for people who don't seem to fit in. They're wearing, too many heavy clothing, overcoats on a summer day, and they're sweating. What's underneath the coat? People who are nervous in ways that don't seem natural or normal. Why are they nervous? Be alert to these kinds of things. And then, of course, watching out for these packages and parcels and maybe backpacks that might be left unattended. I was in an airport not that long ago, and somebody left a duffel bag behind, just sitting behind a row of seats. Thankfully, people noticed that right away. They called in TSA. TSA took a look at it. They brought a dog in. Turned out to be nothing. It was carelessness. Somebody had left it behind. But that's the kind of alertness that we need Americans to try to foster.
Milo?
Yeah, I think Claire hit on all the points. The only thing I would add to that is we have to have less sensitivity to being politically correct and worrying about whether or not we're going to offend somebody's sensitivities by asking the question, because better my sensitivities be offended and the problem be benign than my sensitivities be protected and I be a bomber.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't be afraid of being called bigot, racist, Islamophobe, or one of these other terms that are thrown out there when you just happen to notice that about 99.9% of all terrorism in this country is a certain age group of young Muslim males.
I'm just curious to why terrorists actually believe. Is it their goal? It seems as though these terrorists were a little different. They were not willing to self-sacrifice themselves when they felt threatened. This younger brother did all he could to live. I mean, he did all he could to survive. He was trying to escape. He even turned the vehicle on his own brother. I don't think he turned it on his brother. He was just trying to stop what the police were about to do. But the fact that they actually feel that they can get away and they underestimate our own intelligence, so which is it? Do they underestimate it, or do they really think it through, or do they really care?
Oh, they care. And as I said before, I think this was a complex plot. I think there were others involved. I think they were directed and trained to do what they did. They were assisted to get all that weaponry that they had on hand. They were assisted in learning how to make the bombs, the IEDs, basically, the pressure cooker bombs. But not every terrorist is willing to be a suicide terrorist. Not every terrorist intends to die in the act. But everyone does intend to inflict harm and suffering on the infidel, the non-believer, the non-Muslim. That's the core, and that comes directly from the faith. But they go about it in different ways. Now, the way that these brothers went about it is something called individual jihad. And if you look on the jihadi websites, the Al-Qaeda publications, that online magazine that Al-Qaeda puts out called Inspire magazine, beginning as long ago as 2 and 3 years ago, they began to call for what they called individual jihad. Fard ghain, it is in Arabic. And basically what that means is you don't have to go travel to some battlefield like Afghanistan or maybe Syria. Do jihad wherever you are. That's the message going out right now to all these young Muslim would-be jihadis. Do jihad wherever you are. And oh, by the way, here's a recipe for you. Here in Inspire magazine, they told them exactly how to make that pressure cooker IED, which is, by the way, used all over the Middle East, Afghanistan, and places like that. So they all have the same objective, as I said, which is to cause pain and suffering to the enemy, with the ultimate objective that the enemy will capitulate, will allow ourselves, to be subjugated, not to convert to Islam, but to be subjugated and accept Islamic law over us. That's the ultimate objective. And going about it, they do it by causing pain and suffering to where the point we'll say is, okay, just stop all this. What do you want us to do? Okay, you want us to change our laws? Okay, we'll change our laws. We won't insult Islam anymore. Okay, that is capitulating to Islamic law, and that's what they're looking for, step by step by step.
Milo?
Well, first, let's make sure we clarify that there are two Inspire magazines. There's the published magazine and the online magazine, and the Inspire.org magazine is actually a Christian faith magazine and promotes peace and loving. Second, we're not dealing with a rational group that we can interface with in a manner consistent with the methods and values that we look at our own lives. Their value system is extraordinarily different, and as such, we really can't worry about being politically correct, and we're going to have to make some hard decisions that are going to unfairly treat some who are innocent and protect us against those that are not. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice, regardless if we're talking about is Islamic beliefs or any other belief that promotes violence and hatred towards others.
Yes, caller, you have the last word. Go ahead.
Hey, Armstrong.
Hello,
Randy.
Randy, thank you for calling. You got the last
How
word.
How you doing? I caught the tail end. I was saying the other day we got to be vigilant, man, with these terrorists and things of that nature. We got some homegrown terrorists too that have been living here forever. We got terrorists all over. We got to be vigilant for everybody. If somebody sees something, say something. That's the best thing we could do, man. Somebody hears something, and small as it is, don't hold it in, because that next thing you know, kaboom.
Absolutely.
Gotta say something.
That's good advice, isn't it, Claire?
It is absolutely good advice, and that's exactly what law enforcement really would like, citizens to do. They've asked, please help us, and this is what an alert, citizenry can do.
And for God's sake, think, don't feel.
Think, and sometimes it's not enough to report. Sometimes in critical situations we need to act.
Absolutely.
Yes, we need to act. Randy, thank you, man. Claire, how can we get more information more on you and your organization?
Well, I'll repeat those websites for you once again. I am a fellow at Center for Security, centerforsecurity.org. Center for Security Policy is the full name. Think tank in Washington, D.C. I will mention the Clarion Fund, whose website online is clarionproject.org. That is where I write, and some other very fine writers do too, about these issues. And then finally, I have just newly become a fellow at gatestoneinstitute.org. Let me go back to the Clarion Fund for a moment. I wanted to mention this before I forgot, and that is that for this week, there is a film. It is called The Third Jihad, which is available at the Clarion website, and you can view it, download it, stream it for free this week. It is the story of how the Muslim Brotherhood has infiltrated American society and U.S. government policymaking circles and the intelligence community. It is narrated by a Muslim, a very fine one. You may have heard of his name, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. I have a small part in it, as do many others. But The Third Jihad, available for free viewing this week at the Clarion website.
Thank you so much. All the best. Terrific guest. We hope to have you back. Milo, it's always a pleasure to spar with you, especially the new Milo. This is the new Milo.
Claire, I have to tip my hat to you. I love what you're doing, and I like the fact that you can hear both sides of the table. So keep it up and
awesome.
And
thank you very much for having
everyone,
me.
And thank you, callers. Take care, everybody.
Hello, everyone. This is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Don't speak English.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive,